Did you ever use Foliage and hit only 20 FPS? In this video I'm going to show you how to increase your FPS to 60 or to even more and optimizing your Foliage right. So Foliage is a thing which takes a lot of performance, and to optimize your Foliage you're going to open first your Foliage modes, which you can just access by Shift 2 or by just simply going here. Shift 3, sorry, my bad. So to optimize now your Foliage, you're going to select the Foliage. In this case, I'm going to start with the trees. You're going to scroll down and you're going to find this option called call distance. By the way, if you can't see this option right here, it's probably because you have this not selected. So just click on this and then it's going to show you the details. You go to call distance, and the call distance is basically the distance your player and the Foliage needs to have for the Foliage to show. So in that case, we need a minimum distance of, let's say, 3000 and a maximum distance of 10,000. So now you can already see the FPS is way higher. So in this case, it means we have to go at least, we have to be 1000 is 10 meters. So at 1000, and distance from 1000, it's going to spawn the Foliage. And it's going to spawn a distance of 10,000 max. And while you walk towards your map, it's going to unload the other Foliage. So in that case, it is not optimal, to just walk and then the things is going to load. So you kind of have to design your map so it can load. Like, let's take, for example, I take again a cube. So let's say this cube is like a rock, for example. Okay. And let's say it's something like this. And I don't know, like behind this rock you have the forest, and then you as the player walk around the thing and then everything's loaded. But if the player goes away, like here, the player don't see the trees and it's not loaded, and it saves a lot of performance. So you kind of have to structure your map also with the Foliage. But that's like these settings are extreme, right? So as I showed you, this was a extreme distance, so it's kind of high. But I would recommend maybe 70,000 or something. So yeah, okay, maybe 70,000 is a bit too much, but let's say 30,000. It's like it did, and also the max is 30,000. That if you have a range of 30,000, it's going to load the Foliage. In this case it's lagging because I have a lot of dense Foliage, but this head counter, that's going to improve your performance a lot. Like, it's going to improve it so much. Use this option because I think a lot of people don't know this, but just use it. You have to use it kind of strategic, combining it with your map so you can even save more performance, because Unreal Engine just takes a lot of performance. And on grass, I would take a lot of, I wouldn't even have I would have a big distance to load. I mostly use only also for my own game, min 9,000 and maximum 10,000. I think that's like the best option you can go with, basically, for grass. That's like a option I use because it's a good option, because it already loads in front of you, so it doesn't look like it's being loaded all the time. A second option to optimize your performance is by going cast shadows. So on the trees you can also do it, and it will, wait, let me just show the FPS quickly. So if I take out the shadow from the trees, you see it is a lot of FPS. But I would kind of keep the shadows. You can take out the dynamic or static shadows. But I would keep the shadow on the trees. But on the grass I would take it out because it is not necessary, You have to, of course, see your own preferences, how your map is structured. But in that case, I don't think grass don't really need any shadows, so you can just take it off. A second thing to optimize your objects is to use nanites. So I wouldn't use nanite on foliage because you have this option already, and foliage is basically nanite is optimal for loading basically a lot of things faster. But I would use nanite on static things such as a stone. You can also use you can just put also the static meshes as a foliage and apply those things. But I think on static meshes you can just use the nanite option. To active nanite, you can just open the static mesh, enable nanite, and then you can just, I don't know, I would just mostly like keep 60%, and maybe like in that case I would take 6 bits. Right, if it's an object which shouldn't be like this detailed or shouldn't look good, you can just go even lower with the triangle percentage and the bits. But you know, if it's an object which is you kind of want to show off, you're going to, of course, like, increase it a bit, and then you're just going to apply changes, and then it's going to be loaded. If you want to have a lot of nanite, if you want to put nanite on many things at the same time, you're going to select everything. You go into, I think it was assets. Yes, you go into asset actions, and you set you're going to select add selection in property matrix. So it puts it in the matrix. Has to be. So now you have those things as a wait, that's my CapCut. Now you have things as a matrix, and now you can put those things on everything. So you can just enable, and it's going to be enabled at every static mesh now. And now you can just put your options into here, which is just enable nanite properly, and that should be enough. You can increase the percent by like 45 or something for everyone. And then it's going to be way more optimized and just easier to load. Another thing to do to optimize your things is to activate web petitions and go into build and build LODs. So LODs is just it just summarized objects to load, so it's just easier to load if you have, for example, mountains, it's just going to summarize it and load it at a low LOD. So if you have an open world, that's a must you have to do. And also, if you are working on your map and you have like, let's say you have like an extreme big map, and you know, game crashes, like if you go to landscape, it crashes. What you should do is, at first, if this option is not showing, you have to go into this one and build a minimap, and then you can just select those things and just unload them. So now, in this case, this area is not being loaded, and you have way more performance to do your map, and you can just, for example, do painting. And if you have like an extreme big map, like you have so many actors, like 10,000 actors or 10,000, like even more actors, you can just unload like specific parts of the map and just load basically only, let's say you only wanted to edit this map, okay, this part of the map. You're just going to press and set load section, load region from section, from selection, and everything else is just going to be unloaded. Yeah, so that's basically how you optimize foliage objects for most of the things. Mostly if you don't have like a, I would say, extreme big map, like I don't think I have a AAA studio or something, or like AA studio where you use like a lot of objects. I think you are like pretty good to go with this, because I also use it for my own game I'm working on right now, and my game is like a huge map, and I'm still loading like 80 FPS with just those settings basically. Yeah, so that's a simple way to optimize your foliage. So yeah, thank you for watching, like, subscribe, and bye bye.